The first gunshot disappeared beneath the applause. For half a second, Olivia Bennett thought it was part of the music. The runway lights were blinding, white and merciless, sweeping across hundreds of jeweled faces inside the converted warehouse on Manhattan's west side. Cameras flashed, champagne glasses glittered. A line of models moved through artificial fog, wearing gowns. Olivia had spent 11 sleepless months creating, though the name projected 40 feet above the runway, belonged to someone else. Alina Vale, Winter Crown Collection. Olivia stood behind the curtain with a mouthful of pins and one hand gripping the zipper of a model's silver dress. Then, a man collapsed beside the front row. The applause continued. The orchestra swelled. Only Olivia saw the dark stain spreading beneath his tuxedo. Only Olivia saw the second man moving toward the backstage entrance with one hand inside his coat. And only Olivia noticed that his eyes were fixed on her. "Olivia!" Someone snapped behind her. "The hem!" She did not move. The stranger pushed through the black curtain. He was handsome, in the cold, polished way of men who had never been told no. A black suit, silver cufflinks, rain shining on his shoulders. His expression barely changed when he pulled a suppressed pistol from beneath his jacket. The model beside Olivia screamed. The room behind the curtain shattered into chaos. Clothing racks tipped over. Assistants ran. Someone knocked a table of makeup onto the floor. Olivia stumbled backward into a wall of silk and feathers as the gunman raised the weapon. He never fired. A hand closed around his wrist. There was a violent crack. The pistol struck the floor. A second man stepped from the darkness behind him. Dante Moretti did not look like a savior. He looked like the reason saviors learned to pray. He was taller than Olivia had expected, though she had seen his face in newspapers, charity photographs, and whispered stories traded after midnight by people who claimed not to fear him. His black tuxedo fit him with severe precision. His dark hair was pushed back from a face carved into controlled angles. His eyes were nearly colorless beneath the backstage lights. He twisted the attacker's arm until the man dropped to one knee. Then, Dante looked at Olivia, not at the model, not at the screaming assistants, at Olivia. His gaze traveled over her black backstage uniform, the measuring tape around her neck, the curve of her body pressed against the wall, and the bloodless terror in her face. Something changed in his expression, not softness. Recognition. The gunman lunged with his free hand. Dante struck once. The man collapsed. Two men in dark suits appeared behind Dante and dragged the attacker away before the crowd beyond the curtain understood what had happened. Olivia could hear the runway music continuing. She could hear the announcer praising Elena Vale's genius. She could hear her own breathing. Dante stepped over the fallen weapon and stopped in front of her. "Are you hurt?" His voice was low, controlled, almost intimate, despite the panic surrounding them. Olivia shook her head. "Who was he?" Dante did not answer. His gaze dropped to her right hand. A thin line of blood ran across her palm where one of the dressmaker's pins had cut her. He reached for her. Olivia flinched. His hand stopped inches from hers. For the first time, the most feared man in New York looked uncertain. Then his face closed again. "Leave the building." "I can't." A muscle tightened in his jaw. "Excuse me?" The finale dress isn't finished. Around them, terrified assistants had begun returning to their positions because the fashion industry had always considered disaster less important than timing. Someone shouted that the final model had 40 seconds. Elena Vale appeared at the end of the corridor, wearing a white suit and an expression of furious disbelief. "Olivia, what are you doing?" Olivia looked past Dante. The final gown waited on a mannequin beneath the work, lights a midnight blue creation with hundreds of hand-sewn crystals arranged like falling constellations. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever made, and hidden inside its corseted bodice was something she had discovered less than an hour earlier. A narrow strip of microfilm. She had thought it was discarded packaging, until she held it beneath a work lamp and saw photographs of men, bank transfers, shipping records, and a familiar handwritten signature. Her father's. The dead gunman in the front row had whispered 2 words before he collapsed. Blue constellation. Now a stranger had tried to kill her beside the dress. Dante's gaze followed hers toward the gown. His entire body went still. Where did you get that pattern? Olivia looked at him. What? The beadwork. His voice became quieter. Who designed it? I did. No, the word came too quickly. I've been drawing constellations like that since I was a child. Dante stared at the silver arrangement across the bodice. The crystals formed Orion's belt above a field of darker stones. To everyone else, it looked decorative. To Dante, it seemed to look like a confession. Elena Vale stormed closer. Mr. Moretti, I apologize for whatever disturbance. Cancel the finale, Dante said. Elena laughed nervously. This is New York Fashion Week. Cancel it. You don't own this production. Dante turned his head. The room became silent. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten her. He simply looked at Elena until the color left her face. Then Olivia stepped between them. You can't cancel it. Dante's attention returned to her. That dress is evidence. It's my work. It is the reason a man just tried to kill you. And if we remove it now, everyone watching will know something is wrong. Dante studied hair. Beyond the curtain, the audience began to murmur. The delay was becoming noticeable. Olivia's fear had not disappeared. It moved beneath her skin like ice. But fear was familiar. She had built a career inside rooms where people looked through her, where executives praised her sketches and then suggested someone thinner present them, where men touched her waist without permission while discussing how fabric should fall over difficult bodies. She had learned that being afraid and being helpless were not the same thing. We send the model out, Olivia said. We let the show end. Then you tell me why my father's handwriting is inside my dress. Dante's eyes sharpened. You saw it. Yes. Who else knows? No one. Are you sure? Olivia looked toward Elena. The creative director stood several feet away, pretending not to listen. No, Olivia said. Dante followed her gaze. For 1 second, Elena's eyes met his. Then she turned away. Dante reached inside his jacket. Olivia tensed, but he removed a black handkerchief. He wrapped it around her bleeding palm without asking. His fingers were warm. His touch was careful in a way that did not belong to him. When the model returns, he said, tying the cloth, you stay beside me. I don't take orders from you. You will tonight. Why? His hand remained around hers a moment too long. Because your father died, keeping me alive. The runway announcer called for the finale. Olivia forgot how to breathe. Before she could question him, Dante turned toward his men. Lock every exit. The model stepped onto the runway, wearing Olivia's midnight blue gown, and somewhere in the audience, 3 men stood at the same time. Dante saw the first muzzle flash reflected in the runway mirrors. He moved before anyone else reacted. His arm went around Olivia's waist, pulling her down as the glass wall behind them exploded. Screams tore through the warehouse. The music stopped. Models scattered in jeweled heels, while guests crawled beneath chairs and overturned tables. Dante covered Olivia with his body. Gunfire struck the steel beams above them. Stay down, he ordered. Olivia's cheek pressed against his chest. Beneath the tailored tuxedo, his heartbeat remained impossibly steady. His men returned fire from behind lighting equipment. The model in the midnight blue gown froze at the end of the runway, trapped beneath the spotlight. Olivia saw her. She's still out there. Dante tightened his grip. Not your problem. She's wearing the evidence. She can be replaced. Olivia shoved against him. She's a person. His eyes flashed. Another shot struck the stage. Olivia twisted free before he could stop her. She ran. Her body was not built for the fashion industry's narrow idea of speed or elegance. She had soft hips, full thighs, and curves that expensive brands treated as a design complication. But panic made her fast. She crossed the runway through falling glass. The model stood paralyzed, tears streaking her makeup. Olivia grabbed her hand. Take off the shoes. What? Take them off. The model kicked away the jeweled heels. Olivia dragged her toward the backstage entrance as bullets struck the edge of the runway. Halfway there, a dark figure stepped from behind the first row. He raised a weapon. Dante appeared between them. The shot hit his shoulder. His body jerked, but he did not fall. He fired once. The attacker disappeared behind the seats. Dante turned toward Olivia, with blood spreading across his white shirt. His expression was not pain, it was fury. "Did I not tell you to stay down?" Olivia stared at the wound. "You were shot. Because you ran. The model would have died. And if you had died?" The question struck with more force than the gunfire. Dante seized the final model by one arm and Olivia by the other, guiding them toward the loading corridor while his men formed a moving barrier around them. Outside, rain hammered the alley. Black SUVs slid to the curb. Dante opened the rear door and pushed Olivia inside. She grabbed the frame. "I'm not going anywhere until you explain." A bullet shattered the window above her head. Dante covered her with one arm and forced her into the vehicle. He climbed in beside her. The model and two guards entered another SUV. Tires screamed against wet pavement as the convoy pulled away. Olivia sat frozen in the leather seat while Dante tore open his shirt collar. Blood ran down his arm. "You need a hospital." "No hospitals. You were shot. It passed through. That doesn't make it less of a bullet." He looked at her as if no one had spoken to him that way in years. She reached for his shoulder. He caught her wrist. The movement was fast and instinctive. Their faces stopped inches apart. Rain blurred the city outside. Red lights passed over his cheekbones. His hand circled her wrist, strong enough to frighten her but not tight enough to hurt. Olivia felt the heat of him, the danger, the strange, impossible sense that he had been waiting for this moment longer than she had known him. "Do not touch me when I'm armed," he said softly. "You're bleeding on the seat." "It is my seat. That doesn't make it sanitary." For one stunned second, Dante simply stared. Then he released her. Olivia pulled the black handkerchief from her palm and pressed it against his shoulder. He inhaled sharply. "Hold that. You're giving me orders again. You're welcome to bleed to death." His gaze dropped to her mouth. The air inside the vehicle shifted. Olivia became aware of everything. The broad line of his shoulders, the scent of rain and expensive cologne, the warmth of his thigh beside hers, the way his eyes lingered, as though her face contained a secret he could not solve. Then the SUV turned sharply. Dante looked through the rear window. A motorcycle followed them between lanes. He touched an earpiece. "Second vehicle? Take the model east. We go south." Olivia glanced at him. "You're separating us? They want the gown. They will follow the dress. And us? They want you. Why?" Dante's expression hardened. "Because your father left you something powerful. Men have spent 15 years trying to find. My father was an accountant. Your father was many things." Olivia stared at him. Her father, Samuel Bennett, had died when she was 16. A highway accident. Rain. A truck that crossed the divider. She remembered the police officer at the door and her mother collapsing in the kitchen. She remembered waiting for a final voicemail that never came. "He worked for you?" Dante looked out at the city. "He worked for my father." The motorcycle accelerated. Dante drew his weapon. Olivia's pulse climbed. "What did he leave me?" "I don't know yet." "You expect me to believe that?" "I expect you to survive long enough to decide what you believe." The motorcycle drew beside them. Dante lowered the window. Olivia grabbed his arm. "Don't." He looked at her hand on his sleeve. The rider raised a gun. Dante pulled Olivia down and fired through the rain. The motorcycle swerved away, crashed through a line of construction barriers, and disappeared behind them. Silence filled the vehicle. Olivia's fingers remained locked around Dante's arm. He looked at her slowly. She released him. "I don't trust you," she said. "You shouldn't." "Then why did you save me?" His gaze returned to the blood-soaked handkerchief against his shoulder. "Because 15 years ago, your father dragged me out of a burning car while men were shooting at us." Olivia's anger faltered. "He died years later." "Yes, you said he died keeping you alive." "He did." "How?" The SUV entered an underground garage beneath a black glass tower. Dante's face became unreadable. By refusing to tell my enemies where I was, the penthouse occupied the top 3 floors of the Moretti building. It was not the gilded palace Olivia expected. It was worse. Everything was beautiful in the way. Museums were beautiful, expensive, silent, and designed to make ordinary people feel temporary. Black marble floors reflected city lights. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed Manhattan beneath storm clouds. Paintings old enough to have survived wars hung beneath recessed lighting. There were no family photographs, no clutter, no evidence that anyone actually lived there. Dante walked inside without waiting for her. Blood had soaked half his shirt. A silver-haired woman in a dark dress met them near the staircase. "Dr. Laurent is waiting," she said. Her eyes moved to Olivia, assessing but not unkind. "This is Mrs. Russo," Dante said. "She runs the household. I prevent the household from collapsing beneath Mr. Moretti's personality," Mrs. Russo corrected. Dante ignored her. "Give Miss Bennett the east bedroom." "I'm not staying," Olivia said. He turned. "You are. My mother is in Brooklyn. I need to call her. You may call from a secure line. My apartment is being searched." Her stomach tightened. "By whom?" "My men. You sent criminals into my home. I sent men to find whatever your father left before the DeLucas do. You had no right." Dante's expression remained calm. Rights become less useful when someone is trying to put a bullet through your head. Olivia stepped closer. "I have spent my entire life cleaning up the consequences of powerful men deciding they knew what was best for me." Something flickered in his eyes. "You don't get to become another one." Mrs. Russo quietly walked away. Dante stood motionless while rain moved across the windows behind him. "I will not apologize for keeping you alive. I didn't ask you to. No. You ran into gunfire for a stranger. She had a name. I'm sure she did. Lena." Dante's jaw tightened. Olivia took another step. "You think caring makes people weak? I think it makes them predictable." "And what does that make you?" "Alive." "No," Olivia said. "It makes you alone." The words landed. His face did not change, but the room seemed to become colder. A doctor entered, carrying a black case. Dante removed his jacket. Olivia saw the full extent of the wound. The bullet had passed through the upper muscle of his shoulder, leaving blood across his chest and back. She looked away, too late. His body was marked with scars, thin white lines across his ribs, a darker wound near his abdomen, and another beneath his collarbone. They did not look decorative. They looked like history written by people who had wanted him dead. "Sit," the doctor ordered. Dante remained standing. "Sit, Dante." He obeyed only after glancing at Olivia. The doctor cut away the ruined shirt and began cleaning the wound. Olivia folded her arms. "You know him well." "Unfortunately," Dr. Laurent said, "he has been refusing sensible medical advice since he was 19. I was 18. Thank you for proving my point." Olivia almost smiled. Dante noticed. His gaze lingered on her face with quiet fascination, as though he had not expected her to possess expressions beyond anger and fear. The doctor injected anesthetic. "What happened to the microfilm?" Dante asked. "The model still has the gown. She's being brought to a secure location," one of his men said from the doorway. "Bring it here." Olivia looked at him. "The gown belongs to the collection. It belongs to whoever designed it." She hesitated. For years, Elena had presented Olivia's work beneath another name. Olivia had signed contracts, accepted the invisibility, told herself that being employed mattered more than being recognized. Dante watched her reaction. "She stole it from you. It's complicated. It rarely is. You don't know anything about my career. I know you designed every profitable garment Elena Vale has released in 4 years. Olivia went still. "How?" Dante did not answer. The doctor glanced between them. Olivia's suspicion returned. "You've been watching me. Not personally. That is not reassuring." Dante's eyes held hers. "I knew Samuel Bennett had a daughter. I made sure she remained alive." "For how long?" He said nothing. "How long, Dante?" 3 years. Her voice dropped. Why only 3? Because that is when someone first accessed your father's sealed employment records. Who? We never identified them. You've had people following me for 3 years? Protecting you. Taking photographs? Occasionally? Entering my apartment? No. Listening to my calls? When necessary. The room blurred with anger. You don't get to decide what is necessary in my life. I decided you would not be found dead in an alley because of a war you knew nothing about. You could have warned me. And told you what? That your father worked for a criminal empire? That he stole evidence from men who would kill entire families to recover it? That every person who became close to you might be used as leverage? Olivia's face lost color. Dante saw it and immediately regretted the words. The regret was small, hidden beneath control, but she saw that too. My mother, she whispered. She is safe. How do you know? Because she has been under protection for years. Olivia stared at him. Her entire life rearranged itself in silence. The neighbor who always watched the street from his window, the same dark sedan parked near her mother's house during holidays, the man at the cafe who appeared every morning but never ordered anything. Those were your people. Yes, you turned my life into a cage without telling me. I kept the bars far enough away that you never saw them. That doesn't make it freedom. Dante looked at her for a long time. No, he said quietly. It does not. The doctor finished stitching his shoulder. Mrs. Russo returned with a tray of tea and placed it near Olivia. You should drink something. I should leave. Dante stood. The doctor swore at him. He ignored the warning and crossed to Olivia until only a few feet separated them. If you leave this building tonight, DeLuca will find you. How do you know it's him? Because the man who attacked you backstage wore a signet ring belonging to the DeLuca family. Maybe he wanted you to think that. Dante's eyes narrowed slightly. Your father taught you to question obvious answers. My father taught me not to trust men who spoke with certainty. For the first time, Dante's mouth almost curved, not a smile. The memory of one. He used to say that to my father. Olivia searched his face. What was he really like? Dante looked toward the storm. Braver than he believed. And how did he die? Dante's brief softness vanished. That answer will make you hate me. I already don't like you. Hate is different. Tell me. Before he could respond, the penthouse lights went out. The city disappeared. Glass shattered somewhere below. Mrs. Russo dropped to the floor. Dante drew his weapon with his uninjured arm and pulled Olivia behind him. Emergency lights flickered red along the walls. A voice came through the security system. Breach on 48. Multiple intruders. Dante touched the communication device in his ear. Lockdown. Move Mrs. Russo and the doctor to the safe room. What about her? Dr. Laurent asked. Dante looked at Olivia. She stays with me? Olivia's heart pounded. Why? Because they turned off a building that has 3 independent power grids. His voice became deadly calm. That means someone inside my organization helped them. A betrayal. The word entered the darkness before anyone spoke it. Dante took Olivia's hunt. This time, she did not pull away. They moved through a hidden door behind the library. A narrow steel staircase descended inside the building's core. Emergency lights washed Dante's face in red. He kept Olivia behind him, his weapon raised, his wounded shoulder leaving drops of blood on the steps. You're reopening the wound, she whispered. I'll survive. You say that like it's a threat. To some people, it is. A burst of gunfire echoed above them. Olivia flinched. Dante stopped and looked back. His thumb brushed once over her knuckles before he seemed to realize he was still holding her hand. He released it immediately. Stay close. They descended 5 floors and entered a private elevator powered by a separate generator. Dante pressed his palm to a scanner. The elevator dropped. Olivia watched the numbers descend below ground level. What is beneath this building? A way out. The doors opened into an underground garage filled with black vehicles. A young man waited beside an armored sedan. He looked enough like Dante to reveal the family connection, though his expression held none of Dante's control. He had dark curls, restless eyes, and blood on his cuff. "West exit is compromised," he said. "We have to take the old tunnel." "Olivia, this is my cousin Luca." Luca opened the rear door. "The famous designer." Olivia looked sharply at Dante. Luca's brows rose. "You didn't tell her?" "Not now." "Tell me what?" Dante placed a hand at the small of Olivia's back, guiding her into the car. The contact sent an involuntary shiver through her. Hare felt it. His fingers paused, then withdrew. Luca drove into a concrete tunnel beneath the building. Behind them, metal doors sealed shut. "What did you mean by famous?" Olivia demanded. Luca glanced at Dante in the mirror. Dante's expression warned him into silence. Olivia leaned forward. "Luca, I've seen your sketches." "How?" "Dante has a portfolio." The car became quiet. Olivia turned slowly. Dante sat beside her, his face unreadable. "A portfolio?" "It was part of the surveillance reports." "You keep my drawings?" "I kept copies of anything that might contain a message from your father." "That sounds convenient." "It is the truth." "Every sketch?" "Most." "For 3 years?" "Yes." The anger she expected did not arrive alone. Something else moved beneath it, an uncomfortable awareness of being seen, not glanced at. Seen. Elena called Olivia's designs excessive, too romantic, too dramatic, too concerned with women who wanted to feel beautiful rather than invisible. Yet somewhere inside the private rooms of a man feared by half the city, copies of Olivia's work had been kept safe. "You knew the constellation pattern?" she said. "Yes." "Because you studied my designs?" "Yes." "Why would my father hide a message in something I hadn't designed yet?" "He didn't." Dante looked at her. "You copied that constellation from somewhere." Olivia thought of childhood evenings at the kitchen table, her father drawing stars on napkins while she sketched dresses around them. He always arranged them the same way, Orion above a curved line of 7 smaller stars. The pattern came from him. Dante nodded. It was a cipher. Luca turned into another tunnel. "For what?" Dante's gaze sharpened with calculation. "Locations, account numbers, names." Olivia remembered the narrow strip of microfilm. "Then the dress is a key." "It may be." "To the evidence he stole?" "Yes." "And DeLuca knows?" "He knows enough to be afraid." The car stopped at a steel gate. Luca entered a code. Nothing happened. He tried again. Dante looked toward the tunnel behind them. "Move." Luca reached for the radio. The tunnel lights vanished. A vehicle engine roared in the darkness. Dante pushed Olivia down across the seat as an SUV crashed into them from behind. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. The sedan spun sideways. Olivia struck the door. Pain exploded through her ribs. Dante covered her head with one arm while firing through the broken rear window. Luca accelerated, forcing the car against the gate. The steel barrier bent, but did not break. Another SUV appeared behind them, headlights filling the tunnel. "Again," Dante ordered. Luca reversed toward the attackers. "What are you doing?" Olivia cried. "Trust me, I don't." "Do it anyway." Luca slammed the sedan backward, colliding with the pursuing vehicle. Dante fired through the windshield. The enemy driver swerved. Then Luca shifted gears and drove forward at full speed. The gate broke from its hinges. The sedan burst into an abandoned subway tunnel. Concrete dust filled the air. Olivia looked back at the darkness, swallowing the attackers. Dante's body remained over hers. His face was inches away. A cut crossed his cheek. Blood ran toward his jaw. "You're hurt," he said. "So are you." His gaze moved over her face, searching. "Where?" "My side." His hand hovered near her ribs. He stopped before touching her. "May I?" The question surprised both of them. Olivia nodded. Dante's palm settled gently against her waist. Even through the black fabric of her clothes, the heat of him felt dangerous. His fingers pressed lightly along her ribs. She inhaled. "Pain?" "Yes." "Sharp?" "Only when you do that." "Nothing broken." "You're suddenly a doctor?" "I know broken ribs." His hand remained at her waist. The car moved through darkness. Neither of them looked away. Luca cleared his throat from the front seat. Dante withdrew his hand. Olivia turned toward the window. but the warmth remained. The safe house stood on a private stretch of Connecticut coastline, where the Atlantic struck black rocks beneath a moonless sky. It looked less like a hideout than an architectural magazine's idea of loneliness. Concrete walls, vast windows, dark wood, and a narrow path leading toward the cliffs. Rain moved sideways across the property. Dante stationed guards outside and locked the doors behind them. Luca left to coordinate with the remaining Moretti captains. Olivia stood in the main room, while Mrs. Russo's staff, apparently transported through another route, brought medical supplies and dry clothing. A maid handed Olivia a folded sweater and black lounge pants. "These are mine?" "No, miss. Mr. Moretti purchased them." Olivia looked at Dante. "When?" He removed his blood-stained jacket. 3 months ago." The room became still. "You bought clothes for me 3 months ago? In case we needed to move you quickly. You knew this might happen." "I considered it." The sweater was soft cashmere in her exact size, not a size too small, chosen with the assumption that she should shrink herself to deserve it. Her measurements. She looked at the clothing, then at him. "How do you know what fits me?" Dante's expression did not change, but Luca's warning echoed in her mind. The famous designer, the portfolio, 3 years of surveillance. "Answer me. I had your measurements." "From where?" "Your employment files?" "Those are private." "Nothing is private if enough people want it." "That is a horrifying way to live." "It is an accurate one." Olivia set the clothes down. "I'm not wearing them." Dante looked at her soaked uniform. "You're shivering." "I would rather freeze." His patience thinned. "This is not a battle worth fighting." "It is to me." "Why?" "Because every decision you make for me becomes another thread around my throat." The words halted him. For several seconds, only the storm spoke. Then Dante picked up the clothes and placed them on a chair farther away. "Choose something else. Mrs. Russo will find it." Olivia blinked. She had expected command, not compromise. Dante walked toward a door at the end of the room. "Where are you going?" "To remove the bullet fragments from my shoulder before you accuse me of bleeding without consent." Despite herself, Olivia almost laughed. He heard it. His steps slowed. He glanced back with a strange intensity, as though that small sound had entered a locked room inside him. Then he disappeared into the study. Mrs. Russo approached Olivia. "You should change. I don't understand him." "Neither does he." Olivia looked toward the closed door. "Has he always been like this? Controlled?" "Alone." Mrs. Russo's expression softened. "His father believed affection was a weapon other people could use. Dante learned the lesson well. And now, he has met someone who makes the lesson inconvenient." Olivia's pulse shifted. "You think this is affection?" "I think he purchased clothing in your exact size and kept it untouched for 3 months. That could be strategy. Men like Dante call many things strategy when they are frightened to call them longing." Olivia looked away. Outside, lightning flashed over the sea. An hour later, she entered the study wearing a loose navy dress Mrs. Russo had found in the guest room. Dante stood shirtless beside a desk, while Dr. Laurent, who had apparently escaped the penthouse as efficiently as everyone else, restitched his shoulder. A fire burned in a low stone fireplace. Spread across the desk were photographs, maps, and enlarged images of Olivia's designs. She stopped in the doorway. There were dozens, maybe hundreds. Runway sketches, rejected concepts, photographs of garments she had sewn in college, images from her private social media account, pictures of Olivia leaving work, visiting her mother, buying fabric in the garment district. One showed her asleep at a cafe table with her cheek resting on an open sketchbook. She felt exposed in a way nakedness could never match. Dante followed her gaze. "Everyone out." The doctor began to object. Now, when the door closed, Olivia walked toward the wall. "You said occasional photographs. They increased after the records were accessed. This isn't protection, this is obsession." His eyes became colder. "Do not romanticize it." "I'm not. I needed to understand your routine." "You knew what coffee I drank?" "Yes." "What subway I took?" "Yes." "What time I visited my mother?" "Yes." "What I wore?" His gaze moved over the navy dress. Yes. Olivia lifted the photograph of herself asleep. You kept this. Dante said nothing. Why? It was evidence. Of what? That you were exhausted. That has nothing to do with my father. No. Then why keep it? He looked toward the fire. For the first time since she met him, Dante seemed to search for an answer and find none he was willing to give. Olivia placed the photograph down. You watched me live a life I didn't know was dangerous. I watched you work 18-hour days for a woman who stole your designs. I watched you give your lunch to the homeless woman outside your building. I watched you visit your mother every Sunday, even when she had forgotten your birthday. I watched you spend 6 months designing a collection for women who had been told their bodies were wrong. His voice remained controlled, but something deeper entered it. You want to know why I kept the photograph? Olivia's throat tightened. Yes, because it was the only time I had ever seen you stop fighting. Silence filled the room. The fire shifted. Olivia looked at the images again, but they no longer felt like simple surveillance. They felt like proof of a man standing outside a life he believed he could never enter. That doesn't make this acceptable, she said. I know. You should have told me. I know. You don't sound sorry. Dante met her eyes. I'm sorry you are afraid. That isn't the same as being sorry you did it. No. His honesty angered her more than an excuse might have. She turned toward the desk. Among the papers lay a photograph of her father. Samuel Bennett stood beside a younger Dante outside a black sedan. Dante could not have been older than 20. His face was thinner, his expression less guarded. Her father had one hand on his shoulder. Olivia picked it up. I've never seen this. It was taken 2 weeks before he died. She looked at Dante. Tell me. Dante buttoned a clean shirt slowly, buying time. The Moretti and DeLuca families had a financial agreement. Your father managed the accounts. My father laundered money? Yes. The answer hurt, despite her preparation. He discovered DeLuca was using joint shipping routes to move girls through the harbor. Olivia's fingers tightened around the photograph. Girls? Young women. Some were immigrants. Some had been promised work. Her face went pale. My father found out? He copied the records. Names. Payments. Officials who were being bribed. And your father? Knew. The fire cracked. Olivia stared at Dante. What did you do? I confronted him. You were 20, 22, and? He told me the empire existed because men were willing to ignore what paid them. Olivia looked toward the rain-covered windows. My father helped you expose it. He helped me stop one shipment. We moved 37 women before DeLuca's men arrived. Then why wasn't anyone arrested? Because half the evidence disappeared from police custody. The officials were bought. Witnesses vanished. And my father? He took the remaining files. To protect them? To blackmail both families. Olivia turned sharply. Dante continued before she could speak. He believed fear was the only language our fathers understood. He threatened to release everything unless the trafficking stopped. Did it? For a time. What happened on the night he died? Dante's eyes darkened. My father ordered me to bring Samuel in. Bring him in. Alive, if possible. Olivia's breath caught. And you obeyed? Yes. The word fell like a blade. Dante looked at the old photograph. I found him at a motel in New Jersey. DeLuca's men were already there. Samuel had been shot. Olivia's grip tightened until the photograph bent. He gave me a drive containing part of the evidence. He said the rest had been hidden somewhere. No Moretti or DeLuca would ever think to look. Then he made me promise to protect you and your mother. Tears burned behind Olivia's eyes. And then I put him in my car. We were driving toward a safe doctor when a truck crossed the divider. The room disappeared beneath the memory she had lived with for 15 years. The accident report, the rain, the closed coffin. You were in the car. Yes. You survived. Yes. My father didn't. Dante did not look away. No. Olivia's voice broke. Did your family cause the crash? I never proved it. But you suspect them. My father knew the route. The truth settled between them. Dante's father may have killed hers. Dante had obeyed the order that placed Samuel in that car. You said he died keeping you alive. He pushed me out before the fuel tank ignited. Olivia closed her eyes. Her father, dying, had saved the son of the man who may have ordered his death. Dante took one step toward her. She stepped back. He stopped. I have carried that debt every day. I'm not a debt. I know. Do you? His face tightened. You watched me because of a promise. At first, the words changed the air. Olivia looked at him. At first, Dante said nothing. Lightning illuminated the sea behind him. The man, feared by an entire city, stood wounded and silent, beneath the weight of a question he could not control. What happened after? She whispered. His gaze dropped briefly to her mouth, then returned to her eyes. You became more difficult to treat like an obligation. Her pulse climbed. Before either of them moved, the study door opened. Luca entered, holding a sealed garment bag. We found the finale model. Olivia looked at him. Is Lena safe? Yes. Frightened, but unharmed. And the gown? Luca placed the bag on the desk. Still has blood on it. Not hers. Dante unzipped the garment bag. The midnight blue dress shimmered beneath the firelight. Olivia reached inside the bodice and removed the microfilm. Dante spread it beneath a magnifying lamp. Numbers appeared between photographs of shipping manifests. Olivia studied the constellation pattern on the gown. 7 stars beneath Orion. Her father always drew 7. She turned the microfilm upside down. The numbers aligned differently. Dante watched her. What do you see? Not account numbers. She pointed. Coordinates. Luca leaned closer. For where? Olivia entered them into a map on the desk computer. A location appeared. An island in the East River. Dante's expression changed. North Brother Island. The abandoned hospital? Luca asked. Olivia looked at the old buildings visible in satellite photographs. What is there? Dante stared at the map. My father's first headquarters. By dawn, New York had turned the Fashion Week attack into a spectacle. News channels replayed blurred footage of Dante shielding Olivia on the runway. Photographs showed his arm around her waist, his body covering hers, and Olivia running toward the stranded model while gunfire shattered the lights. The headlines were immediate. Mafia King saves mystery woman. Who is Olivia Bennett? The secret designer behind Alina Vale? Someone had leaked internal contracts proving Olivia created most of the collection. Elena appeared on television from a private hospital suite, claiming Olivia had stolen proprietary designs and brought criminal violence into the show. Olivia watched the interview from the safe house kitchen. She's lying. Dante stood behind her, speaking quietly into a phone. Purchase the network. Olivia turned. What? He ended the call. You cannot purchase a television network because someone insulted me. I can. You shouldn't. That is a different argument. You're proving every terrible thing people believe about you. They believe worse. Dante took the remote and turned off the screen. Olivia stared at him. Turn it back on. No. My career is being destroyed. Your career was built inside a prison. It was still mine. Was it? The question struck an old wound. Olivia rose from the table. I don't need you to rescue me from every difficult thing. This is not difficult. It is manufactured. You think because you can crush Elena you should. Yes. Why? Because she hurt you. The simplicity of his answer left her silent. Dante seemed equally disturbed by it. He looked away first. A guard entered. The De Luca family requested a meeting. Dante's face returned to stone. Where? St. Vincent's Cathedral. Noon. A church. Olivia said. That sounds safe. No place selected by a De Luca is safe. Luca entered behind the guard. They're offering a ceasefire if we surrender the designer and the film. Olivia looked between them. Surrendame? Dante's expression became lethal. Luca lifted both hands. I'm reading the message. What happens if you refuse? Olivia asked. War, Dante said. Isn't this already war? No. This is an opening statement. Luca placed a tablet on the table. Security footage showed black SUVs arriving at Moretti-owned restaurants, warehouses, and construction sites across the city. 8 businesses hit overnight, Luca said. 3 captains want retaliation. 2 are asking whether the woman is worth this. Olivia felt the words like a weight. Dante looked at Luca. Which 2? That isn't the point. It is to them. Dante, half the organization thinks you're risking everything for someone you met yesterday. Olivia almost corrected him. Dante had known her for years. She had known him for less than a day. Maybe they're right, she said. Dante's gaze shifted toward her. You should give them the microfilm. No, it might prevent people from dying. No, I'm not asking you to surrender me. There is no difference. There is. Not to DeLuca. Luca leaned against the counter. The meeting may buy time. Dante considered it. Olivia looked at the coordinates again. What if DeLuca doesn't know what the pattern means? He knows it led somewhere, Dante said. But he may not know where, which gives us an advantage. Then go to the meeting. Let him think we're negotiating. Dante studied here, and while I am gone, we search the island. No. Olivia folded her arms. It was my father's message. It is a death trap. Probably. You are not going. You said, I copied the pattern. I may be the only person who can interpret what's there. I will take photographs. And if there is another cipher, I'll bring it back. And if DeLuca's people reach it first? Dante's eyes darkened. You are determined to make protection impossible. You are determined to confuse protection with control. Luca looked between them with the exhausted expression of a man watching 2 storms collide. Dante stepped closer to Olivia, his voice lowered. If something happens to you on that island, you'll blame yourself. Yes, that doesn't give you ownership of my choices. His eyes searched hers. No, he said. It gives me terror. The confession emerged so quietly, she almost missed it. Dante looked as if he wished he could pull the word back. Olivia's anger weakened. Don't she? He turned away. We leave in 20 minutes. Luca straightened. For the cathedral? For both. St. Vincent's Cathedral stood nearly empty beneath grey noon light. Rows of candles flickered before marble saints. Rain tapped against stained glass. The air smelled of wax, incense, and old stone. Dante entered through the central aisle, wearing a black suit that concealed his bandaged shoulder. 6 guards followed at a distance. Olivia walked beside him in a dark green dress and long coat. He had argued against bringing her until she pointed out that DeLuca would expect him to hide her. Now his hand hovered near her back without touching. At the altar waited Vittorio DeLuca. He was in his early 60s, silver-haired and elegant, with the kind of face that belonged on university buildings and political advertisements. 2 sons stood behind him, along with a dozen armed men positioned throughout the cathedral. Vittorio smiled at Olivia, Samuel's daughter. Dante moved half a step in front of her. Vittorio noticed. So the rumors are true. There are many rumors, Dante said, that you have finally found something you cannot calculate. Dante's expression remained cold. You attacked a public event. You brought a private war into a public room years ago. Vittorio's eyes returned to Olivia. Did he tell you how your father died? Yes. Did he tell you who was driving? Dante became still. Olivia looked at him. You said you were in the car. I was. Vittorio's smile sharpened. He was behind the wheel. Olivia's pulse slowed. Dante did not deny it. You were driving? Yes. The cathedral seemed to tilt. Vittorio continued gently. Dante was chasing one of my vehicles. Your father begged him to stop. But young men raised inside empires rarely understand the difference between courage and pride. Dante's jaw tightened. Do not use her grief as theater. Is it untrue? Dante said nothing. Olivia looked at him. Did my father ask you to stop? Yes. And you didn't. There were men behind us. That isn't what I asked. No, Dante said. I didn't. The answer cut through her. Vittorio watched with satisfaction. The truck crossed because Dante forced another car into the lane. Samuel died because the Moretti heir needed to win. Dante stepped forward. One of Vittorio's sons raised a weapon. Olivia moved between them. Enough. Every man in the cathedral looked at her. She faced Vittorio. You tried to kill me last night. I tried to recover stolen property. My father's evidence? Your father was a thief. He exposed traffickers. Vittorio's smile faded. He misunderstood commerce. Revulsion moved through Olivia. Dante's body became dangerously quiet. Vittorio saw it and laughed softly. There he is, the reformed prince. Tell her what your empire does now, Dante. Tell her how clean your hands became after you inherited the blood. I shut down the routes. You redirected them. I destroyed them. You kept the ports, the unions, the judges, the casinos. You kept everything built by the same money. Dante did not deny that either. Olivia looked at him. The truth was uglier than loyalty and more complicated than innocence. Vittorio opened his hands. Give me the microfilm, Miss Bennett. I will place you and your mother under protection. Dante will return to his empire. The city will continue breathing. And if I refuse, people will die wondering why one woman was worth so much. Dante stepped beside her. She does not answer to you. Vittorio's eyes sharpened. She does not belong to you either. No, Dante said. His gaze shifted briefly toward Olivia. She belongs to herself. The words surprised her. Perhaps they surprised him too. Vittorio moved closer. Then let her choose. He extended one hand. Come with me, Olivia, or remain beside the man who killed your father. Silence filled the cathedral. Dante did not touch her, did not command her, did not ask. He stood beside her and let the possibility of losing her exist. Olivia looked at Vittorio's hand, then at Dante. Did you know the truck would cross? No. Did your recklessness cause the crash? His face tightened. Yes. Did you lie to me? I withheld it. That is a coward's definition of lying. Yes. Pain entered his eyes, quiet and unguarded. She turned away from him. For one devastating second, Dante looked as if something inside him had collapsed. Olivia walked toward Vittorio. Vittorio smiled. She stopped inches from his outstretched hand. My father died because Dante made a reckless decision, she said. But he died running from men you sent to murder him. The smile disappeared. Olivia lifted her chin. I would rather stand beside a man ashamed of what he has done than kneel before one proud of it. Vittorio's face hardened. Dante stared at her. No one moved. Then a shot rang through the cathedral. One of Vittorio's men fell. Gunfire erupted from the choir balcony. It was not Moretti. It was a third group. Men wearing police tactical gear poured through the side doors. Dante grabbed Olivia and pulled her behind a marble column. Who are they? She cried. Not police. Vittorio's guards returned fire. Stained glass shattered above the altar. Dante shielded Olivia as fragments rained around them in blue and crimson. A masked attacker advanced down the aisle. Dante fired. His wounded shoulder gave way. The weapon slipped. Olivia caught it before it struck the floor. He looked at her. I don't know how to use this. Then don't. The attacker came closer. Dante stepped in front of her with no weapon. Olivia saw a brass candle stand beside the column. She seized it with both hands and swung. The base struck the attacker's knee. He fell. Dante disarmed him and dragged Olivia toward a side chapel. Vittorio shouted from behind the altar, "This is your betrayal, Moretti." Dante looked at the tactical insignia on the attackers. No. He pulled one man's mask away. Luca Moretti stared back at them. Olivia froze. Luca's face was bruised, his lip bleeding. I didn't have a choice, he said. Dante's expression emptied. What did you do? Luca looked toward Olivia. I'm sorry. A device beeped beneath his tactical vest. Dante saw it first. He shoved Olivia through the chapel doors as the cathedral shook. The explosion threw them across the marble floor. Candles fell. Smoke swallowed the aisle. When Olivia opened her eyes, Dante was on top of her. Blood ran from his temple. His hand cradled the back of her head. Look at me. She coughed. Don't she? Look at me. I'm looking. His fear was no longer hidden. He touched her cheek, her throat, her shoulders, searching for injuries with trembling hands. You're alive. So are you. He rested his forehead against hers. For one suspended moment, the cathedral, the gunfire, the empire, all of it disappeared. His breath touched her lips. Her hand rose to his face. Dante turned into her palm with a hunger so restrained it hurt to witness. Then, a wall collapsed nearby. The moment ended. He pulled her up. They escaped through a crypt beneath the church, while rival gunmen fought above them. At the end of the tunnel, Dante received a message. Luca had been taken. So had Olivia's mother. The video arrived 3 minutes later. Olivia's mother sat tied to a chair inside an abandoned garment factory. Her silver hair was disordered. A bruise darkened one cheek, but she appeared conscious. Luca knelt beside her with blood on his face. Behind them stood Elena Vale. Olivia stared at the screen. "Elena?" The fashion director smiled into the camera. "I told you the collection was mine." Dante watched without expression. Elena continued, "Bring the original microfilm and Samuel Bennett's daughter to Pier 40. 9 by midnight. No guards, no tricks." Vittorio stepped into frame behind her. The church attack had not been his betrayal. It had been Elena's arrangement with someone inside the Moretti family. Elena touched Olivia's mother's shoulder. "If you fail, I will make certain your mother understands exactly how little your talent was worth." The video ended. Olivia could not feel her hand. Dante took the phone from her. "I'll get her back. They want me. They will not have you. My mother is there. I heard. You don't get to make this choice. I already have." She turned on him. "This is not your empire. This is my mother. And you think walking into that factory will save her? It gives us a chance. It gives De Luca both the evidence and you. Then, what do you propose?" Dante said nothing. His silence terrified her. "You have a plan." "Yes." "What?" "I give them the microfilm. And I surrender control of the Moretti ports to Vittorio." Olivia stared. "That's what he wants. It will bring him into the open." "And what happens to your family?" "They survive." "Your captains?" "They choose new leadership." "Your businesses?" "Gone." She understood slowly. "You're giving up the empire." Dante looked toward the river. The cathedral's underground exit had led them into an abandoned rectory. Dust floated beneath broken windows. Sirens echoed in the distance. "It was never worth what it cost. Don't do this because of me." His gaze returned to her. "I am not." "You're lying." "Yes." The admission broke something open between them. Dante stepped closer. "I spent 15 years telling myself I protected you because of your father. Then I told myself it was because the evidence might return. Then because De Luca was watching. Then because you were reckless enough to run toward danger." His voice lowered. "But the truth is simpler." Olivia could barely breathe. "I knew the sound of your laugh before you knew my name. I knew which windows you stood beside when you were sad. I knew you touched every fabric before buying it and left coffee for the night guard at your building. I knew you hid your designs when people entered because you expected them to take something from you." He stopped inches away. "I knew all of it. And I remained outside your life because I believed wanting you would destroy you." Olivia's eyes burned. "And now men have taken your mother because I failed to stay away. You didn't cause Elena's betrayal. I brought the war to your door. The war was already there. My father put it there." Dante's expression tightened. "Do not excuse me. I'm not." She placed her hand over his heart. It beat hard beneath her palm. "You're not the only person allowed to carry guilt." His gaze dropped to her hand. "Olivia, you lied to me. You watched me. You controlled things you had no right to control. I am furious with you. I know. I may remain furious for a long time. I know. But when that explosion happened, you covered me before you knew whether you would survive. I would do it again. That is the problem." "No," he said. "It is the only part that has ever felt like a solution." His hand rose toward her face. He stopped before touching her. Olivia closed the distance herself. Her lips met his. Dante did not move for one stunned heartbeat. Then restraint broke. His hand slid into her hair. His other arm circled her waist, pulling her against the hard line of his body. The kiss deepened slowly, not tender but careful like a dangerous man discovering that desire could be reverent. Olivia felt years of loneliness in the way he held her. Years of watching, years of refusing. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "If we survive tonight," he said, voice rough, "you will hate me for many more things. Probably. I cannot promise to become harmless. I would never believe you. I can promise never to make a choice for you without giving you the truth. That would be a beginning." He looked at her as though beginnings frightened him more than war. Then Olivia stepped away. "We go to the island first." Dante's expression hardened. "No. My father left the evidence there. The microfilm is only a map. We have less than 6 hours. Then stop arguing." For 1 second, he almost smiled. "Your mother taught you this?" "My mother taught me sewing. My father taught me stubbornness. He was very good at it." North Brother Island emerged from the fog like the skeleton of a forgotten city. Dante and Olivia crossed the East River in a black boat with 2 trusted guards. No lights marked the shoreline. The abandoned hospital buildings stood behind overgrown trees, their broken windows dark against the evening sky. They entered through a collapsed service tunnel. Inside, vines pushed through cracked tile. Rusted bed frames lay beneath fallen plaster. The air smelled of damp concrete and old leaves. Olivia held a flashlight while Dante studied the constellation pattern. 7 stars, she said. 7 floors? The main hospital had 6, maybe 7 buildings. They found an old map beneath shattered glass. 7 structures formed a curved line across the island. Orion, her father, had transformed the island itself into the pattern. They followed the stars to a chapel near the eastern shore. Inside, the roof had partially collapsed. Rain fell across rotting pews. A stone angel stood behind the altar with one hand broken. Olivia remembered her childhood drawings. The 7th star was always darker. Dante swept his flashlight across the floor. 7 black tiles formed a curve before the altar. The last tile was cracked. They lifted it. Beneath lay a metal box wrapped in oilcloth. Olivia's hands trembled as she opened it. Inside were 3 ledgers, a cassette recorder, passports, photographs, and a sealed envelope bearing her name. She sat on the floor. Dante remained several feet away, giving her space. Olivia opened the envelope. Her father's handwriting covered 4 pages. "My Liv, if you are reading this, then I failed to keep the ugliest part of my life away from you. I am sorry." She pressed one hand to her mouth. The letter explained everything. Samuel had helped build the financial architecture of both empires. When he discovered the trafficking network, he collected evidence. But he had also hidden money, millions taken from Moretti and DeLuca accounts, not for himself, for the women who had escaped. He created trusts under false names, paying for housing, legal aid, and medical care. The final paragraph mentioned Dante. The boy is not his father. He believes he is already ruined, but ruined men do not risk death for strangers. If he comes for this box, ask him whether he kept his promise. Do not forgive him, because I did. Make him earn whatever place he asks for in your life." Olivia cried silently. Dante knelt several feet away. "What does it say?" She handed him the final page. He read it. His face did not change until he reached the last line. Then his eyes closed, only briefly, but long enough. "He forgave you," Olivia whispered. "He should not have. He knew what happened. He knew what I caused. He also knew what you tried to stop." Dante returned the letter. "I kept the promise badly. You kept us alive. I also watched you without consent. Yes. Controlled your movements. Yes. Failed to tell you the truth. Yes." His gaze lifted. "You are not making this easy. My father specifically told me not to." The corner of Dante's mouth moved. Olivia looked into the box. Beneath the ledgers lay a smaller envelope addressed to her mother, and a legal document transferring the hidden trusts to Olivia if Samuel died. The accounts were worth more than $40 million. Dante studied the paperwork. "With this, you can expose DeLuca and half my organization." "Your organization?" "My father's captains remained after his death. Some built the trafficking network. Others protected it." "You knew?" I suspected. I lacked proof. Now you have it. No? He looked at her. You do. Olivia understood the distinction. The evidence belonged to her. The choice belonged to her. Dante did not reach for the box. What would happen if I released everything? DeLuca would fall. Several politicians would be arrested. Some of my captains would try to kill us before that happened. And your empire? It would fracture. Could you save it? Yes. How? Destroy the ledgers. Use the accounts to buy loyalty. Eliminate DeLuca. His voice remained matter-of-fact. And will you? Dante looked at the documents that could preserve everything his family had built. Then, at Olivia, no. Why? Because an empire requiring your silence is not one I want. A noise echoed outside. One of the guards entered. Boats approaching. 3, maybe 4. Dante closed the box. They tracked us. How? Olivia asked. The guard's expression tightened. Your cousin. Luca appeared in the chapel doorway, holding a gun. He was bruised, wet, and alone. Dante moved in front of Olivia. You escaped. No, Luca said. I was released. His weapon trembled. Vittorio has my sister. Dante's face changed. Isabella? Luca nodded. She was in Milan. They took her yesterday. You should have told me. You would have sacrificed the empire? Yes. Luca laughed bitterly. That's what everyone is afraid of. You're willing to sacrifice everything now. His eyes moved toward Olivia. For her. She has a name. Dante said. I know her name. I know everything about her because for 3 years you made me watch her. Her coffee, her apartment, her mother, her stupid Sunday walks. Olivia felt the betrayal settle deeper. Luca had been one of the men outside her life. I protected you, he said to her. I stopped 2 attempts before you ever knew. And now? Now I need the box. Dante stepped closer. No. They will kill Isabella. I will get her back. You can't save everyone. Dante's voice dropped. I can try. Luca's eyes filled with grief. That is what makes you weak. He raised the weapon. Dante did not reach for his own. Olivia saw why. Luca's finger was already on the trigger. Give him the box, she said. Dante looked back. Olivia, it belongs to me. Yes, and I choose to give it to him. Luca's breathing changed. Olivia lifted the box and walked around Dante. His hand caught her elbow. She met his eyes. Trust me. It was the same command he had given her in the tunnel. Dante released her. Olivia approached Luca. You said you watched me for 3 years. Yes. Then you know I sew hidden pockets into everything. Confusion crossed his face. She threw the metal box toward him. Luca instinctively reached for it. Dante moved. He disarmed Luca before the box struck the floor. Olivia pulled the real microfilm and cassette from a hidden fold inside her coat. The box contained only blank ledgers. Luca collapsed against a pew as Dante twisted the weapon from his hand. I'm sorry, Luca whispered. Dante held the gun to his cousin's chest. Olivia watched the coldness return to him. The Mafia boss, the man capable of ending betrayal with one movement. Don't. He did not look at her. He sold your mother. He was trying to save his sister. He gave them our location. He was afraid. So was your father. He did not betray me. Luca closed his eyes. Dante's finger tightened against the trigger. Olivia walked closer. You said the empire could burn. His gaze shifted toward her. Prove you mean something different can rise from it. For several seconds, the old Dante and the man he might become stood inside the same body. Then he lowered the weapon. Luca's eyes opened. Dante stepped away. You will spend the rest of your life earning that mercy. A gunshot shattered the chapel window. Dante pulled Olivia behind the altar. DeLuca's men poured from the trees. The island became war. They escaped through the old hospital as gunfire moved between the buildings. Fog rolled across broken courtyards. Flashlights cut through abandoned wards. Dante's guards held the eastern passage while Luca led them toward a maintenance dock. Olivia clutched the evidence beneath her coat. A bullet struck the wall beside her. Dante covered her, firing into the corridor. Move! They ran through a ward filled with rusted metal beds. At the far doorway, Vittorio's eldest son appeared. He fired. Luca pushed Dante aside. The bullet struck Luca in the stomach. Dante caught him. No. Luca collapsed against the floor. Olivia dropped beside them. Blood spread through his shirt. Go! Luca gasped. Dante pressed both hands against the wound. I am not leaving you. You have to. Isabella. I put a tracker in Elena's car. Luca coughed. She took Isabella and Olivia's mother to the Old Vale factory in Queens. Vittorio thinks they're at the pier. Dante looked at him. You betrayed them too. I tried to choose both. Luca's face twisted in pain. I understand now why that never works. Men shouted nearby. Dante lifted his cousin. Together, they carried Luca through the maintenance tunnel and reached the dock. Their boat had been destroyed. Only one enemy vessel remained. Dante placed Luca inside and started the engine as bullets struck the water. Olivia climbed aboard. The boat pulled away, while North Brother Island disappeared into fog and gunfire. Luca survived the crossing, though barely. At a hidden medical facility in Brooklyn, surgeons took him into an operating room. Dante stood outside with blood covering his hands. Olivia approached. He did not look at her. If he dies, it is because I hesitated at the cathedral. No, I knew something was wrong. You trusted family. I trusted what I wanted to believe. Olivia touched his wrist. He stared at her hand. You should wash, she said. Dante looked through the glass doors. I have spent my life washing blood from my hands. His voice was empty. It never changes what they have done. Olivia moved in front of him. Then stop believing clean hands are the same as innocence. He looked at her. You cannot undo your life, but you can decide what your power protects next. His expression tightened with emotion he could not name. You still believe I can become something else? No. The answer surprised him. I believe you already are many things, some terrible, some worth saving. His gaze searched her face. And which one do you see now? The man who lowered the gun. Dante's hand rose toward her cheek. Again, he stopped. Olivia leaned into his palm. The tension in his face broke. He touched her as if she were the first gentle thing he had ever been allowed to hold. Then, the operating room door opened. Mr. Moretti, the surgeon said, your cousin is alive. Dante closed his eyes. Olivia felt his hand tremble against her skin. At 11:45 that night, the Vale Garment Factory glowed beneath cold, industrial lights. The building had been abandoned after a fire 10 years earlier. Broken windows faced the Queens waterfront. Black SUVs lined the street. Inside, Elena paced between old cutting tables. Olivia's mother sat near a row of mannequins, wrists bound. Isabella Moretti was tied beside her, a composed young woman with Dante's eyes and Luca's defiance. Vittorio stood on the raised production platform. He believed Dante was on his way to Pier 49. He was wrong. Olivia entered the factory alone through the main doors. Every weapon turned toward her. Elena stared. You came. Olivia wore the midnight blue finale gown. The crystals moved across her curves like a night sky. She had repaired the bullet-torn fabric, reinforced the corset, and sewn the real evidence into the lining. Her father's final cipher, her design, her choice. Vittorio descended the stairs slowly. Where is Dante? At the pier. Vittorio smiled. Then he finally listened to reason. No. He listened to me. Elena circled Olivia. You always did crave attention. Olivia looked at her former employer. I spent 4 years making you famous. And I gave you a career. You gave me a room without windows and told me it was opportunity. Elena's face hardened. Women like you should be grateful anyone lets them near beauty. Olivia felt the old pain. The fitting rooms where assistants whispered about her body. The meetings where investors praised her designs but asked Elena to present them. The dresses she made for women who cried because someone had finally considered their bodies worthy of luxury. She lifted her chin. Women like me create beauty while women like you take credit. Elena slapped her. The sound echoed through the factory. Olivia did not look away. Vittorio reached for the gown. Where is the evidence? Sewn inside. He drew a knife and cut through the outer layer. Nothing. He cut again. Still nothing. Olivia smiled faintly. You don't understand construction. Vittorio seized her throat. Where? The factory lights went out. Darkness fell. Then the roof windows exploded inward. Ropes dropped from the skylights. Dante's men descended through smoke. The side doors burst open. Gunfire erupted. Olivia drove her knee into Vittorio and broke free. Elena grabbed her hair. They fell against a cutting table. Across the factory, Dante emerged through the smoke in a black suit, moving with terrifying calm. Men fired at him. He did not stop. His entire attention fixed on Olivia. Vittorio raised a gun toward her. Dante stepped between them. The bullet struck his side. Olivia screamed. He staggered, but remained standing. Vittorio fired again. Dante's weapon answered first. Vittorio fell from the platform. The room froze for a fraction of a second. Then Elena dragged Olivia toward the burning section of the factory. A fallen lamp had ignited old fabric. Flames climbed the walls. You ruined everything, Elena hissed. You did that yourself. Elena pulled a small pistol from her dress. Before she could raise it, Olivia seized a pair of heavy tailor's shears from the table and drove them through Elena's sleeve into the wood. Elena screamed, trapped but uninjured. Olivia stepped away. You taught me always to keep the right tools nearby. Smoke filled the room. Dante reached her. Blood spread beneath his hand. You were supposed to stay near the entrance. You were supposed to avoid being shot. I failed. So did I. He touched her face. You're alive. So are you. Temporarily, she slipped beneath his arm and supported him. Together, they moved toward her mother and Isabella. The fire spread across the ceiling. Dante cut their restraints. A burning beam collapsed between them and the main exit. Guards shouted from the other side. The only remaining path led toward the roof. They climbed a steel staircase while flames consumed the factory beneath them. Dante weakened with every step. At the roof door, he collapsed to one knee. Olivia knelt beside him. You're not dying here. That sounds like an order? It is. It is. His mouth curved faintly. Beautiful. What? You. The words stopped her. Dante looked at the midnight blue gown, torn and blackened by smoke, fitted across the body the fashion world had told her to hide. I thought the dress was extraordinary when I saw the sketches. He said, I was wrong. Olivia's eyes filled. You cannot confess things while bleeding. It is manipulative. I am a criminal, don't you? He reached for her hand. I love you. The rooftop door shook beneath impacts from below. Olivia stared at him. He spoke the words without expectation, without command, like a man setting down the final weapon he possessed. I loved you before I understood that was what I was doing. I loved you badly, from a distance, through locked doors and surveillance reports. I loved you like something I had to contain. His breath caught. If I survive, I will learn to love you without building walls around you. Olivia pressed her forehead to his. You will survive. That is not an answer. It is the only answer you're getting until you stop bleeding. The roof door burst open. Elena appeared through the smoke, her torn sleeve hanging from one arm, a gun in her other hand. You took my life, she screamed at Olivia. Dante tried to stand. Olivia moved in front of him. Elena aimed. A shot rang out. Elena fell. Olivia's mother stood behind her, holding a guard's discarded weapon with both trembling hands. I never liked that woman, she said. Olivia stared, then laughed. Through tears, a helicopter rose above the roof. Wind tore through the smoke. Moretti guards secured a line while Dante was lifted aboard. Olivia climbed in beside him, holding pressure against his wound. As the helicopter rose over burning Queens, black SUVs surrounded the factory below. Police vehicles approached from every direction. Inside Olivia's gown, a transmitter sent copies of the ledgers to federal prosecutors, 3 newspapers, and an international human rights organization. The empire had begun to fall. Dante woke in a private hospital 2 days later. Olivia sat beside the window with her sketchbook open. Morning light touched her face. He watched her for several seconds before speaking. You stayed. She looked up. You sound surprised. I expected guards? There are guards outside. I expected you to leave. I considered it. His eyes darkened. For how long? Several dramatic minutes. She closed the sketchbook and approached the bed. Dante's side was bandaged. His shoulder had been stitched again. A monitor tracked the heart he had spent years pretending did not matter. Olivia sat beside him. The ledgers were released. I know. 43 arrests so far. 3 judges resigned. 2 senators are under investigation. My captains? 6 disappeared. 4 turned themselves in. The rest are waiting to see whether you survive. And DeLuca? Dead. Dante looked toward the window. There will be retaliation. Probably. You should enter witness protection. I spoke to the federal attorney. His gaze sharpened. You did what? I negotiated. Without me? Yes. Dante seemed offended by the concept. Olivia continued. The trafficking victims and their families receive control of my father's trusts. The legitimate Moretti businesses enter a monitored restructuring. Your cooperation reduces charges against lower-level employees who testify. My cooperation? Yes. And what happens to me? You surrender the ports, casinos, union contracts, and political accounts. That is the entire empire. Almost. What remains? The legal real estate company. 2 hotels. The Moretti Foundation. Dante stared at her. You dismantled my organization while I was unconscious. I had excellent legal counsel. Who? Isabella. He closed his eyes briefly. She has always been dangerous. She likes me. That makes her more dangerous. Olivia leaned closer. You also need to provide testimony. His expression cooled. No, Dante. I will not testify against my own people. The men who trafficked women? They are not my people. Then the decision is easy. For you. Yes. He looked at her. You would leave if I refused. It was not a question. Olivia's chest tightened. I would. Pain moved through his face, controlled but unmistakable. I love you, she said. But I will not make a home inside the ruins of other women's lives. Dante remained silent. You promised to love me without walls, she continued. That means I have to be free to walk away from what I cannot accept. His gaze moved toward the doorway. Beyond it waited guards, lawyers, captains, enemies, and an empire asking whether he would still be its king. What would I be without it? He asked. The vulnerability in his voice nearly broke her. Terrified, Olivia said. Difficult, controlling, frequently unbearable. His eyes narrowed. And? Free to find out. He studied her for a long time. Then he reached for the phone beside his bed. Call the federal attorney. Olivia's breath caught. Dante looked at her. Tell her I will testify. Are you sure? No. He held her gaze. But I choose you. 3 months later, the Moretti Empire formally dissolved. The announcement took place inside the ballroom of the Metropolitan Museum of Art during a charity gala for survivors of human trafficking. Every captain, politician, journalist, designer, and socialite in New York attended. Some came to witness history. Others came to see whether Dante Moretti truly intended to surrender the throne. Olivia stood backstage, wearing a black gown of her own design. It embraced every curve she had once been told to disguise. The neckline swept elegantly across her shoulders. Silver constellations followed the shape of her waist and hips. Above the stage, a new name glowed. Bennett House, her fashion company, funded through legitimate investments and built around one principle. No woman should be asked to disappear inside what she wore. Her first collection employed survivors supported by her father's trusts. Lena, the model Olivia saved on the runway, had become the campaign's face. Mrs. Russo adjusted Olivia's sleeve. You are shaking. I'm about to walk into a ballroom containing half the people who wanted me dead. And the other half? Fashion critics. Mrs. Russo nodded gravely. Much worse. Music began. Olivia walked onto the stage. The ballroom rose in applause. For one shining moment, she stood in the light beneath her own name, not behind a curtain, not beneath Elena's credit, not apologizing for the body carrying her talent. Then, the ballroom doors opened. Dante entered. Conversation stopped. He wore a black tuxedo with no family insignia, no armed procession, no visible symbol of power. Yet the room still changed around him. Men straightened, women watched, former captains lowered their eyes. Dante walked toward the stage alone. A federal agreement had spared him prison in exchange for testimony, forfeiture, and the permanent dissolution of the criminal organization. Some called him a traitor. Others called him the most dangerous man in New York without an empire. Olivia called him late at night when silence became too heavy. She called him stubborn, impossible, hers, though neither of them used the word as ownership. Dante stopped at the foot of the stage. The event host stepped toward the microphone. Mr. Moretti will now sign the final transfer documents surrendering control of Moretti Holdings. A commotion rose near the eastern entrance. Dozens of men entered the ballroom, former Moretti captains. At their center stood Carlo Moretti, Dante's uncle, and the last man still claiming leadership of the old organization. Security reached for weapons. Carlo raised one hand. "We came to give my nephew one final opportunity." The room became silent. Carlo looked at Dante. "The federal agreement is not complete until midnight. Withdraw your testimony. Return control of the ports. The families will recognize you as head of the commission." Whispers moved through the crowd. Dante's face remained unreadable. Carlo continued, "Everything your father built will be yours again. The judges, the unions, the harbor, the city." His gaze shifted toward Olivia. "All you must do is walk away from the woman who convinced you to kneel." Olivia's heartbeat thundered. Dante did not look at her. Carlo stepped closer. "You were born to rule an empire, Dante, not stand in the shadow of a seamstress." The insult moved through the room. Dante looked toward the stage. His eyes met Olivia's. She did not ask him to choose her. She would never demand a sacrifice he had to make freely. Carlo opened his arms. "Come home." For several seconds, the entire ballroom waited. Hundreds of people, cameras broadcasting live. Former soldiers prepared to swear loyalty. Politicians calculating which future would protect them. Dante walked toward Carlo. Olivia's breath stopped. Carlo smiled. Then Dante removed the Moretti signet ring from his hand. The ring had belonged to his grandfather. Then, his father. It represented ports, blood, obedience, and a century of fear. Dante looked at it once, then dropped it into a candle flame at the center of the nearest table. Gasps moved through the room. The gold darkened in the fire. Dante turned toward the stage. "Your mistake," he said calmly, "was believing she asked me to kneel." He walked past Carlo. Every eye followed him. "She taught me I could stand without an empire." Dante climbed the stage. He stopped in front of Olivia. Carlo's voice rang from behind them. "You choose her over your blood?" Dante looked at Olivia, not at his uncle. "I choose the life I can build with her over the one my blood built for me." Carlo's face twisted. "You will lose everything." Dante reached for the transfer documents. He signed his name. The ballroom froze. The empire ended with the movement of a pen. Dante placed the document on the table. Then he turned to Olivia. His eyes contained none of the cold certainty that once frightened the city. Only devotion. Dangerous, imperfect, and finally, honest. "I have nothing left to offer you that was inherited," he said. Olivia stepped closer. "Good." A faint smile touched his mouth. "I have 2 hotels. I heard. A difficult personality. I noticed. Several enemies. That list may be longer than you think. And a house on the Connecticut coast. The one with no warm lighting? I can purchase lamps." The audience began to laugh softly, tension breaking. Dante ignored them. His hand lifted toward her face. As always, he stopped just before touching her. "A question?" Olivia closed the distance. His palm settled against her cheek. "And me," he said quietly, "whatever that is worth." Olivia covered his hand with hers. It depends. On what? Whether you are still monitoring my coffee orders? No. Don't you? Only when you skip breakfast. She tried not to smile, failed. The feared former king of New York looked at her as if the sight were worth every city he had surrendered. Olivia rose onto her toes and kissed him before hundreds of witnesses. The ballroom erupted. Cameras flashed. Carlo left beneath federal escort after attempting to threaten an agent. Former captains scattered. Journalists shouted questions. Dante heard none of it. His arms circled Olivia's waist. This time, she did not feel caged. She felt held. 1 year later, rain fell across the Connecticut coast. The old safe house no longer looked like a fortress. Olivia had filled it with light. Warm lamps stood beside the windows. Fabric swatches covered the dining table. Sketches hung along the hall. Mrs. Russo had placed flowers in rooms Dante once kept empty. The Moretti Foundation operated shelters, legal clinics, and recovery programs in 4 cities. Dante attended board meetings with the same severity he once brought to criminal negotiations. He terrified accountants, argued with architects, and personally reviewed security at every shelter. He had not become harmless. Men who threatened the women under the Foundation's protection still discovered that losing an empire had not made Dante less dangerous. But he no longer confused danger with power. Olivia's fashion house had become internationally known. Her designs appeared on red carpets, magazine covers, and women of every size who wrote letters saying they had never understood what it felt like to wear something made for them rather than altered around them. On the anniversary of the Fashion Week attack, Olivia presented the Samuel collection. The final gown was midnight blue. 7 dark stars curved beneath Orion. After the show, she returned home near midnight. Dante sat outside on the terrace in the rain. No coat, no umbrella, a glass of untouched whiskey beside him. Olivia opened the door. You are aware the house has rooms. He looked toward the ocean. I remember. She stepped outside and held an umbrella above them. What happened? Dante was silent for a long moment. Then he gave her a letter. It was from the State Compensation Board. The last surviving woman rescued from the harbor 15 years earlier had submitted a statement. She remembered Samuel Bennett. She remembered a young man with blood on his shirt carrying women from a warehouse while his own father's men pursued him. She remembered Dante. The final paragraph read, Samuel said, you would spend your life believing one terrible night defined you. He hoped someday someone would teach you otherwise. Olivia sat beside him. Rain struck the umbrella. Dante stared at the letter. I thought your father saved me from the car, he said. But he had been trying to save me long before that. Olivia rested her head against his shoulder. Maybe he saw what you could become. I became many things he would have hated, and some he might have understood. Dante looked at her. You still do that. What? Make mercy sound like truth. Sometimes it is. He reached into his coat pocket and removed a small black box. Olivia lifted her head. Don't you? I had a speech. That sounds alarming. I disliked it. Of course. He opened the box. Inside was no enormous diamond designed to announce wealth. It was her father's old signet stone, recovered from the hidden box on North Brother Island and reset inside a simple silver ring. 7 tiny stars were engraved around it. Olivia stopped breathing. I cannot promise you peace, Dante said. I cannot promise I will never become controlling because you have informed me this is apparently woven into my bones. It is. I cannot promise I will deserve you every day. Her eyes filled. But I can promise to spend every day understanding that you are not mine to possess. He took her hand. You are mine only when you choose me. Rain moved across the dark sea. The man who once ruled through certainty knelt before her with none. Choose me, Olivia. She looked at the house glowing behind him, at the life they had built from evidence, fire, betrayal, and impossible mercy, at the man who had watched from the shadows until she forced him to step into the light. Yes, the word left her as a whisper. Dante did not move. Olivia laughed through tears. Yes, Dante. He slid the ring onto her finger. Then he stood, and kissed her beneath the storm. His hands framed her face with a reverence that still surprised her. Her body pressed against his, soft where he was hard, warm where he had once been cold. The umbrella fell onto the terrace. Neither noticed. Far below, waves struck the black rocks. Behind them, the house burned with golden light. And inside the room overlooking the sea, Olivia's newest design waited on a mannequin, a wedding gown, shaped not to hide her curves, but to honor every inch of the woman who had refused to disappear. Dante had surrendered an empire for her, but Olivia knew the deeper truth. She had never asked him to choose between love and power. She had asked him to understand that love without freedom was only another kind of kingdom. And when the entire world stood waiting for him to reclaim his throne, the most feared man in New York had finally chosen the one thing no empire could command. He chose to become worthy of the woman who had already chosen herself.